Welcome back, and welcome to Focus on Health Law. This will be presented here by Attorney Kenneth Haber, who is a practicing attorney in Boyds, Maryland. The moderator on this set is Attorney Ramesh Khurana from the Khurana Law Firm of Gaithersburg, Maryland. This week, Attorney Khurana has a whole bunch of questions for Attorney Haber on fraud and abuse. Let's take a look.
I'm Ramesh Khurana, attorney at law. I have my office in Gaithersburg, Maryland, and today I am immensely pleased to welcome my friend but a very knowledgeable and experienced lawyer, Ken Haber. Ken, welcome to our studio.
Thank you, Ramesh.
Ken is the former assistant U.S. attorney and a senior attorney in the Office of Inspector General, and he basically represents clients in almost 50 states, and if he needs to hire a local lawyer in particular jurisdiction, he would do that. And but he has his office in Maryland.
Boyds?
Boyds, Maryland.
Boyds, Maryland.
Yes, and he was in my neighborhood.
Yes,
We were neighbors.
Rockville.
So that's why he's a good friend of mine, and we have known each other for the last 13, 14 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What's
great.
going on?
So Ken, today we are going to discuss fraud and abuse in Medicare, and so many frauds are being reported while people are dealing with insurance companies. So first of all, let's start with the basic.
Okay.
Let's start with the basic. What is fraud and abuse?
Well, you know, some people like to think of it as ham and eggs, but it's not. Fraud and abuse is more on a continuum. On one side, you got abuse, and there could be very little intentional criminal intent at that point in time, or none. But still, the way they're using the system, it's abusive, it's costing the government too much money, it's costing the insurance companies too much money, and they're not following the rules without the necessary criminal intent. And the whole thing in defining these things is criminal intent.
That's the buzzword.
That's the buzzword. Do they have enough knowledge to know, or are they intentionally avoiding knowledge so that they don't know?
Know or should have known.
Yeah, know or should have known that they're violating the rules and
Yes.
taking money that they shouldn't be taking. And
Right.
all the way at the other side, there is that fraud when they do know and shouldn't be taking the money for what they're doing, or should be doing it differently. And that's fraud on that continuum, and on that it's abuse, and neither one are good. But what happens is that if it's abuse, you get slapped on the wrist a couple times and you have to give back the money. And if it's fraud, you get slapped on the wrist a little bit and you're thrown in jail. And then they just take the money. So that's sort of the consequences. You know, neither one are good because of the fact that you took all this money. Now you got to give it back. So, but it's a continuum, and it's all based upon what you would call scienter, knowledge, criminal intent. How much did you know that you were not following the rules? Right. Was it a little bit? Was it zero that you knew, but you should have known? Or was it that you're digging your head in the sand and sticking your buttocks up so somebody can come and take a paddle and whack you with it? You know, that at that end is the fraud, because you can't stick your head in the sand, intentionally avoid knowledge.
Ken, you have beautifully explained the concept of fraud and abuse. Thank you very much for that.
My pleasure,
Yeah,
especially
no.
the whack.
Now, let me move forward.
Yes.
Now, I know that you have worked as a senior attorney in the Office of Inspector General, and you used basically most of the tools to detect fraud and abuse. So, can you tell me from your pragmatic experience, what are the important tools which the law enforcement people would use to detect frauds and abuse?
Yes. I'll be glad to, but let's be specific about this. When I was in the Inspector General's office, it was in the late 70s and early 80s, and we didn't have a lot of tools. That's why they created Inspector
Thanks
General's
to
office.
technology, right?
Well, they created people who would be moving into the technology and adopting the technology. We had auditors with computer punch cards. That's how far back I go. that they had computer punch cards in order to be able to do their computerized whatever they did back in those days. Nowadays, they push a button and they'll have identified by various factors, various providers who are popping through the screens that they have, and they'll be able to see who's doing this and who's doing that when they shouldn't be doing it, and they'll be able to identify using broad criteria, who are the people that they should give more attention to. And these are computerized tools that they have, and they're multi-layered even now, where they can see whether a doctor who's billing could be billing at the same for the services at the same time when they're two different places. So it's
like when a doctor has two different facilities, right?
Yeah, like he's at a hospital and he's billing for
From his own office.
services based upon the medical records at one time, and then the medical records at his office, he's doing a service at the same time.
Or maybe he has an office in another location like West Virginia, which probably he goes during the weekend, and now he's billing, let's say on Monday, a West Virginia client and the Virginia client.
It could very
At the
well
same
be.
time.
Could be. Those are the technical tools, but there's also legal tools. The legal tools are the fact that we have exclusions now, we have anti-kickback statutes now, we have the Stark statute now, that's the self-referral statute. We have a variety of legal tools that did not exist when I was in the Inspector General's office because of the fact we had to develop them.
Great. I'm going to ask you questions about the various concepts you just mentioned.
Oh.
Let me ask you,
Very good.
what is anti-kickback statute?
Well, one of the things that people like to do is show a doctor a good way of how to bill so the doctor can get a lot of money. And
Give me some examples.
okay, people
Yeah.
come around and they are selling devices, and they tell the doctor you can bill this way, this way, this way. And the doctor says, oh, that's great, and you can increase your money by doing this and this and this. And what's more is that we'll store some of our product in your office, and we'll rent your broom closet from you, and we'll store it there, so when you need it, you can just go into the broom closet, take out the broom, and get the product, even though it's a little dusty.
I like that example.
And you can then sell it, and would pay you $1,000 for that broom closet every month. So that in reality is a kickback, because of the fact that the value of that broom closet's not $1,000. The value of the broom closet is maybe $10 or something. And it's just a way of getting the doctor to use their product, and they get to be able to sell their product, and they're giving the doctor $1,000 as an incentive to sell their product. And all he has to do is give up a little room, not the whole room of the broom closet, just a little room of the broom closet.
On that note, let me ask you one more question. Let us say there is a family practitioner, and he always refers his clients to just one specialist, always one specialist. Okay, so and I don't know whether he gets something in return or not, whether that will be covered under anti-kickback statute?
No, if there's not money coming back, he might think that this expert is the best guy in town and recommends him because he thinks he's doing his client a service by recommending this expert who's really a great expert. Now, that said, if that expert happens to be employing the doctor's daughter, the doctor's wife, now you can be getting into anti-kickback. You could even be getting into self-referrals possibly too, which is a Stark statute. And the mere fact that it's not the doctor who's getting the dollar doesn't mean it's not a kickback. And there's statutes and regulations that create exceptions where people can have safe harbors, and they can take certain legal relationships appropriately and do things that they wouldn't otherwise be able to do. And this is, this is a very complex area of the law as to what they can and can't do. If it's truly, like you said, that he's just referring people and there's no other relationship, there's nothing wrong.
No. That
We
makes
refer
sense.
people to people. If I have an immigration matter, I'm going to send somebody to you because I have confidence in you. I've used you. And
Because we know it very well in our profession, unless we spend time on some particular case, we cannot be getting paid because we have referred the case. We cannot.
No,
Because
no.
that is unethical.
Right.
Of course, if we are co-counsel, we are working together on a case, you are spending time, you get paid for your time, and I get paid for my time.
Absolutely.
So, here in this case, I think you explained it very well, that if the specialist is the best person or the expert in the field and he is referring to him just for this professional reason, there is absolutely no problem.
None
But
whatsoever.
if that professional or expert is taking him out for dinner twice a week,
In a different town.
different
And
town,
it's flying a jet plane there.
yes, then probably, of course.
Then they give
It's
them
obvious.
accommodations. Well, the pharmacies, the pharmaceutical industry had been paying doctors to give seminars. And obviously they're giving seminars and making referrals of the doctors of the pharmaceutical industry's product. And the Inspector General, put a stop to that. Now you don't find the pharmaceutical representatives giving anything out except like pens with the names on them, but they used to give these.
So, it's very well covered under anti-kickback statute.
Yes, that's very well covered under the anti-kickback
Okay,
statute.
now let me ask you one more question. Are there any safe harbor exceptions to the anti-kickback statute?
Yes, there are.
What are those?
There's a number of them.
Oh,
There's a
okay.
number of them. But it's the type of situation where each one is supposed to be creating a legal scenario where if it's followed, it's minimizing the incentive for any improper referrals. And that's the whole gist of those
Makes sense.
anti-kickback safe harbors. Example being that somebody is being paid a fixed amount of money based upon revalue, and this happens all the time where the hospitals may own real estate and doctors may want to rent office space right close to the hospital. And there's safe harbors for that, so that that's fair market value determination. It's got no relationship to referrals as to how many patients the doctor might be getting, by being close to the hospital, and that the doctor has the benefit of being close to the hospital because he's having patients there, and he's paying fair market, so he's not getting anything for free. And neither is the hospital getting anything improper, and there's a whole set of criteria. But you see the doctor's offices quite often right on the campuses of the hospitals, and it's covered by the safe harbors of the anti-kickback statute.
Okay, Ken, again, let's talk about the self-referral statute, which is probably called the Stark statute.
Yes.
I remember once a physician approached me and there was a question, and this physician was running a general practice. Then this physician bought the adjoining office, it was an office condo, and that physician wanted to refer her own clients to this practice, which was basically for the pain management. So, in this scenario, can you see that there is self-referral statute applicable? Because the owner of the two practices is going to be the same person?
It could be if it doesn't fall within one of the safe harbors. Now, it could be even anti-kickback if she's subleasing space to somebody else and making referrals to somebody else who's providing pain management, and then that person's paying rent that's based upon not fair market value, but based upon the value of the referrals, because there can't be any value in referrals in that respect, because it's too open to abuse, where the doctor is going to be making referrals just to that doctor. versus the first example you gave where there was an expert and there was no financial relationship, and doctor can make all the referrals he wants to make under those circumstances. So these things are complicated.
I know, very complicated, but you have simplified to a greater extent.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. So Ken, we are running out of time. As always, it was great pleasure asking you some questions and seeking answers from you, and those answers are really very appropriate, and I appreciate that, and thank you very much for coming to our studio.
I thank you.
Hopefully I will see you again.
Be my pleasure.
Thank you.